So first of all, just to cut off, just so you understand, when you get yourself involved with like serious people like that, it's very hard to cut off, right? Because they expose themselves to what they do to
For
you.
sure.
And then you can go and snitch or you can go do whatever,
For
right?
sure.
So for them to understand that I wasn't a snitch, I wasn't, somebody who was just gonna run off, and so that was a huge thing for me. That even let me, that I was able to leave that life. So that's number one.
This is the Leo Climaco podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Leo Climaco podcast. My guest today is just an incredible person. He is a coach. He is a martial artist. He is a leader. Yaneev Rosenberg.
What's going on, guys?
What's up, my brother? How are you?
Leo, thank you so much for having me. It's
Thank
my
you for
honor.
being here, man.
I really appreciate your time.
Same to you. And you know what? I got to apologize live on camera. Sorry I'm late.
Yeah, brother. Shit happens.
100%. There's a fire on A1A. Anyway, let's start from the beginning. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Okay.
How's your upbringing?
So I'm originally from Tel Aviv, Israel. I grew up there till the age of 12. My father was a tank commander. I grew up fighting my whole life, doing martial arts and
Krav Maga,
Judo, Aikido, Muay Thai kickboxing,
That's
and then
awesome.
I found my way into Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Incredible.
So my mom, she used to have nightmares because my brothers and I are very like combative and fit and always like we're into that. My mom used to have nightmares that we were going to die in the military. And she used to beg my dad to move from Israel and come to America, where her mom lived, my grandma, in New York, and to start her life here. So eventually, that's what we did right after Desert Storm.
Okay. 91?
91, yeah, like right around there. So I was 12. And, it was interesting because during the war, I was there. My father was deployed. The alarms go off, and they take all of us, put in gas masks. They put you in a room.
Wow.
You take wet rags. You put them all around the doors with tape,
That's
just
crazy.
in case, because Saddam Hussein was doing like gas missiles, that the gas wouldn't come into the doors. Everybody's shaking. You hear the F-15s taking off. It was pretty. So that's how my childhood started.
That's crazy.
So and then from there we moved, and then we went from New York to Florida, and we grew up super poor at the beginning. 6 people in 1 bedroom.
Wow.
And I grew up in a rough neighborhood, bro. And that's how my journey started because it was all like, colored people. And I was this Jewish kid. And, I had to fight a lot, And,
Good thing you knew how.
Good thing I knew how. And quickly I learned what worked and what didn't work, right? Because you learn a lot of bullshit.
For sure.
And we found out what worked and what didn't work. And then I ended up, into gangs and all kinds of stuff, which we'll get into whenever you're
For
ready.
sure. How long were you in New York?
In New York, not even a year.
Okay.
So it's funny. My grandma lived in Brooklyn, and my mom's like, "We're gonna move to New York." And as you know, older people, where do they want to move to? Florida. So as soon as we moved, they're like, "We're moving to Florida." So then we moved to Florida, and we lived in Lauderdale.
Okay.
But originally, when I did live there, I lived in Queens. Yeah. And
I'm from Queens.
Yeah, where at?
Woodside, Sunnyside, right by close to Manhattan.
And when I got into the later part of my life, I used to visit New York a lot. Didn't live there officially, but like Regal Park
Okay.
in Queens.
I went to Forest Hills High School.
Nice. Yeah.
So I was in the middle of all the Russians, all the Jews, all the Bulgarians, all the Albanians, the Serbians.
Right, correct.
I was in the middle of all that.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out where I fit in life.
Right. Awesome.
I'm from Brazil originally. Moved to New York when I was 7 years old. Moved to Florida about 4 years ago. Both of my parents are Brazilian, but my mom is black and my dad's white.
Okay.
So for a long time, I was stuck trying to figure out where I fit, right? I was too white for the black people and too dark for the white people.
Right.
What the fuck do I fit? So eventually, in high school, I hung out with my European white crowd, and then I left high school, and I grew dreadlocks down to my shoulder and thought I was Rasta.
Right.
You know,
got out of that
so I
stage.
went through that metamorphosis of polar opposites.
Right.
Where do you did you go to the military or no?
I did not go to the military.
Do you wish that you had gone?
In Israel or here? Because I
Israel.
tried to go in here, but it didn't work out. So in Israel, we left early. Remember,
Right.
I left before I was 18.
Right.
And the plan was for my mom was to get my brother, my oldest brother, he was about to turn 18. And my mom used to have nightmares that we were all going to die in the military.
How do
That's
you
what-
get excused from not going? Like
Well,
just
you
by
don't.
moving?
You got to move out. You got to move.
Got
like
it.
If you don't move, then you have to serve. You know, and because we had family here, then, you know, it worked itself out.
Yeah.
But I tried, before we want to get into the military part, when we lived in Lauderdale, I ended up joining gangs. I joined Crips. Ever heard of Crips?
Of course.
I joined Crips when I was like 13, IGC, Insane Gangster Crip.
That's crazy.
So here's this Jewish kid, you know, that
Were you the only Jewish kid?
the only Jewish kid. Well, my brother was like, I think it was an insane Crip at that time. He was a little bit older. I have 2 older brothers and 1 little sister, but
That's so interesting. How did they accept you?
So once you start fighting, you know, because remember, right, we're not like regular like Jewish kids. We're like tough Israelis.
Right.
And once you start fighting and you start losing, you're like, we want this guy on our team. And so the reason we joined Crips is just because that was everybody in our neighborhood. You know what I mean? And I was growing up through that and just going the wrong route.
How long were you a Crip for? Are you still a Crip?
No. I was a Crip just when I was from 13 till 17.
Okay.
I got locked up for fighting, you know, and doing stupid shit.
Here's the question though. Can you Crip walk?
I can crip walk. I can crip walk. I can crip walk. I can stack. I can do whatever you want. I can do whatever you want. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man. So I was going the wrong route, and
What did that life teach you? What did those 4 years teach you?
first thing, brotherhood, friendship. All our parents were immigrants, you know. So there's a lot of Hispanics, a lot of blacks, you know, and a lot of Brazilians, and you know, like we only had each other. We're all broke as hell, and we joined this gang not because we didn't like Bloods or didn't like anybody. We just
Right.
like this was our neighborhood.
You wanted a brotherhood.
Wanted a brotherhood.
Yeah.
And here's a blue rag, and you know, here's a cool handshake, and you have meetings. You know, you have meetings, and we talk about what we're gonna do or who we're gonna fight or whatnot. And it taught me a lot about like just character of humans. You know, what they're about, how fast they break. And I was telling your staff earlier that when you decide to have somebody your friend as a friend or a spouse or anything, a business partner, the only way you want to have them close to you is that if you know that when hard times come, they're going to stand by you. Because everybody will always be next to you when you're healthy, when you're making money, when you're successful, when things are good.
When you're shining.
Right, but when things are bad, the real people will step up and the fake ones will drop. So I learned that from a young age because when we would get arrested, you know, for stupid shit, not
Right.
like real, these guys would snitch, these guys would fold, or we would go to fight. You know, like how do you know if your friend's gonna fight with you when you go fighting?
Right.
Is he gonna run or not? And you find out as soon as the fight starts. Hey, where's this guy? Where's this guy? You know, so I started learning about humans at that early age. And then I was playing football. Now, I never played high school football.
Okay.
I always used to play football like in the neighborhood and stuff. And I got into a bad fight, and I was gonna get into like some major trouble. And my father said, man, you need to do something. I said, Dad, I wanna play football. He goes, but you never even played high school football. They always wanted me there, but I was always too busy fighting and getting into stupid shit. I was super athletic, strong.
Still are.
So I decided to fly to California
Okay.
after I graduated high school and try to walk on a team. So I played for the College of San Mateo. This is the same college that Tom Brady played at, right, before he went to Michigan. And I played middle linebacker.
That's
And,
awesome.
Yeah, I just walked in, got a full scholarship.
Really?
Yeah, went in
Like
the
that.
summer, and I just fucked people up.
That's great.
And that was it. So then I came on vacation back home.
Did you play 4 years?
No. 1 year. So I went back home for vacation, and this is where my journey starts. I was walking with a bunch of guys downtown here, Fort Lauderdale, and then a bunch of other guys were walking this way, and they all bumped into each other. And my buddy and this guy like started arguing. I'm like, what's going on? And then they started fighting.
Out of the blue.
I guess they had a beef, but I didn't
Got
know.
it.
I was living in California.
Got it.
So all these group of guys are fighting. There was this big motherfucker, and he swung at me. So, remember, I did martial arts my whole life, and I've been street fighting my whole life. So I move, and I knock this fucking guy out. And everyone's running around, scrapping, and he tried to get up, and I kicked him while he was down. So everybody runs away, and I'm like, I'm not going to fucking run. He threw the first punch. Well, the police came and said, listen, he's on the ground, and you're standing up. You're going to jail, and they charged me with second-degree felony.
Wow.
So when you're an immigrant, I didn't have my papers yet. I only had a green card. First thing they do is they want to try to deport you, right?
How old were you?
19.
Wow.
19. And a second-degree felony is 2 to 15 years in prison.
Wow.
If you get convicted. So when you get on bond, you can't leave the county, right? So I couldn't go back to California. So I had to forfeit my scholarship. And
holy shit!
I started going the wrong route. And
were these friends that you were hanging out with Crips?
No, these are just regular like American kids.
Got it.
They were drunk and they somehow ended up in that. And I remember, like sitting there saying to myself, like, God, why? Like here I am doing the right thing, being an example. I didn't even start the fight, and here I am in jail. And the funny thing is that when I got locked up, it was a holiday. I don't remember what holiday it was, but so they couldn't bail me out right away, right? So I had to spend like 3 or 4 days, in the county, and they put me in the level where all like the killers and like rapists, like violent crimes, because that's
second degree.
So that's where they put me at. And it's funny, and I was like, as soon as I walked into the cell, there was this big motherfucker there, and I'm like, listen, man. I watch enough movies. I got the top bunk. And he's like, he looked at me and I was like, however you want to do it, man. I was 230 pounds back in the days, middle linebacker. He's like, all right. And,
I've seen enough movies.
I'm not going to fucking, I don't know what's going to happen, right? But when I got out, again, I started questioning, like, why is this happening? Instead of looking at it as an opportunity. And there was a team called the Florida Titans, a semi-pro football team. And FAU was starting a football team too, back in the year 2000. And I went and talked to the coach, and he's like, listen, you're going to have to walk on because we're not giving any scholarships. This is the first year. Next year is going to be the first year. So I played the semi-pro football, and then I tore my knee for my own teammate. Anyways, tore my knee, and then started going to the wrong side of town. And
Wait, hold on.
Yep.
Let's back up a little bit.
Okay.
What happened with that court case?
All right. What happened with the court case? So it was still going, right? It was still going because it doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
It ended up being dropped. It went from a second degree to a misdemeanor. I hired a good Jewish lawyer, Coleman, and it went down to a misdemeanor, and then also I just had to do like community service and anger management.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, time served.
Yes, time served, and then I had to like learn about myself, why I was like explosive and angry and all this other stuff.
Okay.
So after I tore my knee, I started going the wrong route, and so all my whole life, growing up, the people you looked up to were gangsters. They weren't like normal people, and all the movies you watched, from Menace to Society to Goodfellas,
Casino, and
right, like these were the people that you idolized.
Yep.
Well, because my upbringing, it was easy for me to go that route, and that's where I went back kind of to New York, because I was telling you, I got hired to do collections, right? So there's this big kid who can fight, and somebody owes Leo money. Leo calls Yaneev. Yaneev goes to see Joe Schmo, and I get you your money back. I get you your money back, and I would get a percentage.
Of course.
So, brother, I started making crazy money. I had a condo on the beach. I had a freaking sick SUV with freaking 24-inch rims. Where back in the days, they were like $8,000.
Wow.
If you're going back to like 20-something years ago. And I had a Rolex. I had a pinky ring. I had the the most beautiful women. And remember, my family didn't have a lot of money. So every week I would take an envelope with cash and I would put it in and I would go see my father on Shabbat dinner. You know what Shabbat dinner is? Of
course.
I would go to Shabbat dinner, pay respect, and I'll give him an envelope. He said, Yaneev, what are you doing? You selling drugs? And I said, no. And he's like, I don't like what you're doing. He's like, whatever you're doing, you're gonna end up dead or in prison. And I said, no, Dad, everything is good, and I love my parents to death. And I was like, no. And he's like, listen to me. He goes, if you end up dead or in prison, you're gonna ruin everything I've ever worked for. Leaving Israel, sacrificing everything. He had a successful business. He had a good military career. Selling the house, learning a new language. He came here to America like late 30s. And he's like, you're gonna ruin everything. And I couldn't take that burden on top of me to let my parents down like that. And the more I was getting involved with this job, the bigger the jobs they wanted you to do.
Of course.
Right?
Because you keep proving yourself over and over.
Yourself, correct. And I remember I had a job to do at 22 years old that was almost $1 million.
Bro, you must have been a fucking beast.
Right? You know what's funny, man? The truth is that, like, to be completely honest, I almost never had to beat up anybody. Because once I knock on your door and I look you in the eyes, they're like, somehow everybody who doesn't have the money, they find the fucking money. It's like, all right, let me, tell Joey I got it under control.
They're so intimidated and
yeah,
scared.
you know what I mean? Like they don't want bodily harm, so they find the money somehow.
Were you armed? Okay.
So, either way, the job that I got offered was a lot of money. But at that time, if you took that job, you could never go back to a normal life.
Right.
So I had to ask myself, this is the life that you want? And it wasn't the life that I wanted.
It was a crossroad.
It was a crossroad. And I took a step back, and my dad said, do something you love, son. I said, the only thing I love to do is play football, work out, and fight. That's it. And he says, well, you can't play football no more. Why don't you teach people how to work out and fight? And brother, I got rid of my condo, I got rid of my car, I got rid of the women, sold the Rolex, I got rid of the pinky ring, I got rid of everything. Moved back to my parents' house. Got a job at a gym.
Wow.
As a trainer, making $7 an hour. And back in the day, $7 minus taxes was like $4.50. Right? Now you're talking about a guy at 22 who was making $500 grand a day, cash. Now I'm working at a gym. I'll never forget, I had this like short manager, right? Who was like a dick. And he was telling me what to do. And like, they didn't know my past.
Of course.
Right? I just had to shut my mouth and do what I got to do. And every day I worked from 5 a.m. to 9 o'clock at night. 5 a.m., 9 o'clock at night. Until I built myself.
Let's pause right there for a second, please. Because what you're describing is something very, very, very difficult to do. A lot of people aren't able to leave the old life for a new life because you're making so much money and you're so good at it.
Right.
Like, take us into your mindset. What really helped you? How hard was it to say, I'm done with this. I'm moving on. I'm going back to my parents' house. I'm selling everything. I'm completely killing off the person I used to be. I'm completely rebuilding and recreating an entirely new person. How was that?
So first of all, just to cut off, just so you understand, when you get yourself involved with like serious people like that, it's very hard to cut off, right? Because they expose themselves to what they do to
For
you.
sure.
And then you can go and snitch or you can go do whatever,
For
right?
sure.
So for them to understand that I wasn't a snitch, I wasn't, somebody who was just gonna run off, and so that was a huge thing for me. That even let me, that I was able to leave that life. So that's number one. Second is I was telling you about my father. My father, both my parents passed away. But my parents' brother, they meant the world to me. You know what I mean? And they were like good people, hardworking fucking people.
Yeah.
And honorable people.
Yeah.
And my dad sacrificed his whole life to bring us here to America.
I share that.
And what kind of piece of shit do I have to be? What kind of douchebag to shit on everything he sacrificed?
Yeah. For you.
Right? For me to go, because I am going to end up dead or I am going to end up in prison. It's just like when,
Right.
You know? It's just
Right.
when. Is it going to be
Right.
this year? 5 years from now? It's going to happen.
Right.
Everybody ends up the same. Right? So I couldn't let that happen. And also, that's number one. And the second thing is, when they asked me to do that big job, it wasn't who I was in my soul. I'm not a bad guy. I don't want to hurt anybody. I don't want to do, like, if you told me right now, hey, Yaneev, Joe Schmo owes me $100,000, right? Like, legit. You know, we ran a business. He stole $100,000 from me. And you tell me to go collect it. Like, I feel like I'm doing a mitzvah. You understand? Like,
Of course.
I never felt like I was doing bad.
Right.
Like, I never felt like I was a bad guy.
Right.
Like, you know, these guys, they borrowed money from these people.
And they're not paying.
They're not paying.
Yeah.
You know, so if you were the bank, they send you collections. Here, there's no collections. They send me.
Right. You
know
are
what
the
I mean?
collection.
Right. So I never felt like a bad guy. But now you're telling me to do real dirt.
Right.
Even when I was in gangs, I didn't do dirt. I would just fight. And the reason I fought, because I had no outlet.
You were the muscle.
Yeah, I had no outlet. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he looked at me, or he did this, he did that. So you just fought like an idiot, you know? But like, there was no like ill intention, you know? So that's what got me out of it. And I didn't want to be that bad person. And I didn't want to let my parents down. And even when I was involved with everything I was involved in, they used to call me like the lawyer. They used to joke around and give me a nickname, the lawyer. Because when they would come up with a scheme, I was always the one to be like, let's think about this. You know, not just like a knucklehead, like, yeah, let's go do whatever.
Right. You analyzed it first.
Yeah, you know, God give you a brain, you got to use it.
You don't have to answer if you don't want to. But I'm really curious to know what you had to do to get away from this group of people.
A conversation. It was a conversation, man to man. So, you know, like your reputation in that world precedes itself.
Of course.
So when you live in that life, they're not just going to let anybody in. And they're not just going to let anybody out.
Right.
Because I didn't take this next step to get into that next level, I wasn't that much of a threat
I understand.
where I can jeopardize them. That's number one. And number two, when they look at my track record, right? They looked at me, my gangs, they looked at all that stuff, they see all that. So, oh, you're not a snitch. You're not a rat. You fight. Oh, you did a week in jail here, you did this, you did this. Oh, okay. They see who you are.
Right.
And that's how I got out.
Go with God.
And it's funny because just to fast forward real quick, in 2008, economically things got really bad for me. You know, I opened up my gym immediately after my career at the gym, but they reached out to me again. And you know, I was talking to your staff earlier about the devil. They reached out to me again, and they offered me an opportunity of $50,000 to do something. And brother, I could have used that $50,000 like I can drink this coconut water. I needed it. And I said, this is a test. This is a test. God is testing you, right? Like things were bad, brother. My house was going to go into foreclosure. My gym, I lost 70% of my clients.
Wow.
Like things were just bad. And if there was ever opportunity to say, you know what, I'm going to do this, and it wasn't even that bad. It's like, hey, just take this from here to there, you know? And I said no.
But that was going to open up a door.
It's going to open up a door, you know? But going back to the gym, I became a trainer.
Yeah.
And in 1 year, I became one of the top trainers in the country out of 320 gyms. I worked at 24 Hour Fitness.
Okay.
Back in the days, they had a huge franchise.
I remember.
Everywhere.
I used to be a member in New York.
Yep, they had gyms everywhere. And they offered me management position, fitness trainer to manage all the trainers.
Took you how long to get to that position?
It was like less than 12 months.
Okay. Impressive.
Yeah, I was killing it. People loved me. Anybody I coached, they wanted to re-sign up with me. And I would just come up to anybody. I would see them working out. I'll help them. Nice smile, sincere, genuine. They see I'm not a bullshit, and they'd everybody would re-sign with me. I never had people leave.
That's awesome.
So they offered me management position, but I'll never forget, every month was all about the numbers. What are we bringing in? What are we bringing in? What are we bringing in? And that wasn't who I was. Like, I actually enjoyed helping people get fit, change their mindset and everything like that. So instead, they offered me $75,000 a year, full benefits. This is back in 23.
It's good money.
2003.
Good money.
Good money back in the days.
Yeah.
Instead, I quit, took out a loan, and opened up my first gym, which was Crave Fitness Inc.
Where?
In Sunrise.
Okay.
In Sunrise. And I remember I had all these people with me, and then when I opened up my gym, everyone that said they were going to come, well, they still had sessions at 24 Hour Fitness, contracts, this, that. Brother, I ended up picking up back up like 30%. But now I had all this overhead and all this craziness. And that's when I started, 5 a.m., 9 o'clock at night.
Wow.
Going to people, hey, Leo, I'll train you for free. Come take a class. Let me, slowly. The first year I made $75,000.
Wow.
And then from there, started building up.
So you made exactly what you would have made there.
The first year.
That's great.
It wasn't net because I had rent and everything, but I made $75,000. You know, and then from there, I just kept building. And then 2008, fast forward, economy crashed.
Yeah.
I was also heavy in the real estate then. And I used to flip properties. I used to do foreclosures, buy them in the courthouse, fix them up, sell them. And we had 3 partners. I was the construction guy. We had a money guy, and we had a real estate guy who knew all the ins and outs. And when everything crashed, going back to character, I was the only one who didn't fold.
Really?
The real estate guy disappeared, and the money guy said, fuck it, I'm selling everything. Now, he was a gazillionaire. It didn't mean anything to him, but we were third. And I said, well, I can't afford to sell everything. We need to hold it. Let's rent it. Didn't matter. Took it on the chin.
Wow.
And started everything all over again. And I'll never forget the way I started my academy was people weren't doing personal training anymore. So I said, let me start a school. So I used to charge average $100 an hour to train with me. And now I started teaching at $100 per month, right? So it killed me inside. Again, going back to that same thing that happened at the beginning, you know, from being this gangster making all this money to working for $7 an hour. I used to make $100 an hour, and now I'm making $100 a month. So now I got to see you every day, 5 days a week for $100 compared to before. But
that's a huge difference.
Huge difference. But slowly, 1, 2, 3. Now I have 10 people. And then I built this big academy. And then again, that goes ups and downs, many stories.
When did you begin the academy? What year was that?
Right
after?
In 2008. Like right after everything crashed, I was like, I move quick. When things are bad, I don't sit there and ponder on them. You know, like I take it in. You know, if I have to cry, if I have to yell, if I have to whatever, I'll do it. But then I'll move forward. You know, like I can't sit there and dwell because life doesn't stop. You know, I lost my dad in 2006. And like I told you, my dad was everything to me. And before he died with cancer, he told me, he said, Yaneev, he says, life don't stop for nobody. So he says, when I die, he goes, you keep going. Because he knew how close I was. And I didn't want to keep going, brother. I was in a dark place. You know, you don't want to lose your mentor or lose somebody who was so close to you. And but then he got sick. My wife got pregnant with my son.
I've heard that so many times.
Yeah, brother. It was a beautiful thing. And then my dad passed away, and I named my first son Aryeh, which was my dad's name. You know? So that's the beginning of that.
That's beautiful.
Today, brother, I got 5 kids.
You have 5 kids?
5 kids, yeah.
God bless you. I have 2.
So, yeah, brother, we had 4 kids in 3.5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
God bless your wife.
Every time.
Jesus Christ.
Every time I came home, she was pregnant. I was like, "What's going on here?" You know, I was like, "The mailman but the kids look like me, so it's my kid." But
what's the ratio, boy to girl?
2 boys, 3 girls.
2 boys, 3 girls.
Yeah, we had 4 kids back to back, and then we had a surprise 7 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, Daniela.
How old's your oldest?
18. So I got 18, and then they're gonna be 17, 16, 15.
Wow.
Yeah, brother.
That's incredible.
Yeah, man. It's good. It's good. It's brings a lot of joy. It's a lot of work.
Yes.
But it's worth it.
I can see you're a great dad.
You know, thank you, brother. Thank you. It's worth it. You know, at the end of the day, you know, like, what is life about, man? Life is about, like, giving. Like, if you have a gift, it's
I
getting
agree.
that gift and then giving it away.
Being of service.
You know, like, brother, you know, like I was telling your staff earlier before you came, I was like, I've done it all, man. I've done it all. Gangs, organized crime, played semi-pro football, played college football. I've had the hottest women you could ever think of. I've been a millionaire. I was broke. I was an investor. I've done so many different things. The only thing left for me to do now is to be a grandparent one day and to give everything I know to everybody I meet. That's why I do these podcasts and stuff. That's why you see me on social media talking. The reason I actually even opened up my social media, because somebody told me I was being selfish.
Really?
He says you're always sharing everything with your school, with your academy. Like at the end of every class, I'll give a little talk about life. And he goes, so many people can use what you say. You've been through so much, you have so much experience, share it with everybody. And I realized, you know, like, it's not just about just my immediate group, but I've had messages from everywhere, you know? And people reach out to me like, hey, Yaneev, you saved my life. Hey, Yaneev, I was going to kill myself. Hey, Yaneev, I was in a divorce, but today I'm better today. Hey, I'm better.
Wow.
And it fuels me. You know, it's, so, you know, like I also have a coaching program. And, you know, like the money is the money, but what's the real satisfaction is the results.
Right. 100%.
You know? So like you need money, right? You need money because that's how we live, right? That's how
it's also an energy exchange, right? Keeps them accountable.
Correct. But at the end of the day, when, you know, I was talking to your guy earlier, he was telling me he likes to trade. And I said, stay away from trading. You know, it's like the devil. It's bad. We can get into that later. But the bottom line is, when you just make money you do a deal and you just made money, it's empty. But when you create a service, when you help somebody, when you do something of value, doesn't even, you could be a painter. Like the people come in like, oh, they're happy.
Yeah.
Painted their house.
Yeah.
You're a trainer, you're a coach, you're a martial artist, whatever. You bring value to their life. Yes, you're getting money, but there's a satisfaction that money cannot buy. And that's what I'm after. You know, is to help as many people as anybody who meets me, my goal is that they leave off a little bit better. They can learn off my experience and my downfalls and my hardships and see everything I've been through and all the falls I've taken and say, you know what? Yaneev did it. He was an immigrant. He was broke. He went to jail. He was in gangs. He was this. He almost got a divorce. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Like all the negatives.
Right.
And here he is today. And just to be inspiration to others. Because we all go through the same things.
100%.
You know, like things are good with your wife now. Awesome. At one point, they're going to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
This is life. You're making money now. At one point, it's going to be bad. Everything is up and down.
Yep.
But if you just don't fucking quit, if you stick with it and take the blows and just keep getting up, keep getting up, keep getting up, you'll get there. You know, don't rush. You know, that's why I was like, oh, you know, I was telling your friend, I was like, don't trade. Because when you day trade, right, it's like something that comes fast. And anything that comes fast goes fast. Instead of trading, invest. Right? Invest. Take some money every month, put it away into S&P 500, NASDAQ, whatever, every month.
Right.
You're 20, you're 30. Before you know it, you're 50. One day you have a few $1 million, my friend. You know, buy a property. Get a tenant. Let it pay itself off. All of a sudden, you got a $500,000 property paid off. Everything good in life takes time. You know, they were talking to me about jiu-jitsu. I'm like, to get jiu-jitsu black belt, it's average 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, going back to starting again from the beginning, as when I started my school, I wasn't a jiu-jitsu black belt. I was teaching Krav Maga, I was teaching boxing, I was teaching Muay Thai kickboxing, Aikido, and I had a guy come challenge me. So back in the days, the way it worked is that the guys from Brazil, you know, like to make jiu-jitsu popular, will go and do challenges.
Yeah.
And I had a guy come and challenge me. And brother, I was a fucking monster. And I was like, let's fucking go. So we did a fight. And
What were the rules? Like MMA style?
Vale tudo.
Vale tudo.
No rules. No rules. No rules besides like biting and like groin shots.
Yeah.
We went at it. I beat his ass.
Really?
The fight went to the ground. And the story's not ending yet. The fight went to the ground. He swept me. We ended up in a scramble. Took my back and choked me.
Oh, man.
What the fuck is that? Because Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Brazilian jiu-jitsu? What the fuck is Brazilian jiu-jitsu? You know what I mean? Like, you're Japanese jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But Brazilian jiu-jitsu was just getting, like, traction.
Just starting.
And I was like, holy shit. So instead of being sour about it, I took off my black belt, I put on a white belt, and started training jiu-jitsu full time.
Wow.
2 times a day, every day. Became a full-blown competitor, multiple times Florida state champion.
That's incredible.
Yeah, placed third in the Pan Ams, fought at the Worlds. Got my black belt from one of the best jiu-jitsu fighters in the world, Roberto Abreu Cyborg. In South
Really?
Beach. Yeah.
Wow.
And but again, started from nothing. You have to understand, bro, in order to move forward in life, you have to check your ego. You have to take off your black belt that you have in your life, put it away, start again, white belt. And it's okay. And time's gonna pass. I'll never forget, people are telling me, like, bro, like, to get a black belt is 8, 10, 12 years. So time's gonna pass anyways, my friend. Before you know it, boom. Now today, I'm almost black belt 10 years. 10 years right now.
Wow.
3rd degree black belt. So
you trained for 20 years.
almost. I got my black belt pretty fast because, remember, I already did so many martial arts.
That makes sense.
You know? Like,
Yeah.
I was really athletic, martial artist,
Right.
football player.
Right.
I got my black belt in 7 years, which is very rare. Average is 10, you know. And I was telling them, like, some people, I have students 12 years, they're still only purple belts, which is midway, you know.
Wow.
So, and jiu-jitsu is life-changing. I think to anybody who's listening, you know, like, if you're around Fort Lauderdale area, come train. But if you're not around me, find a place. Because jiu-jitsu is the douchebag filter, right? Like, you can't fake it. You can't buy it.
It's the douchebag filter.
Right. Like, you could be, like I was telling them earlier, you can have a guy who's huge, you know, whatever, scary looking.
Mm-hmm.
He comes to train. I got a 150-pound kid, 16-year-old, who will choke him out 6 times in 6 minutes. Guaranteed. Not even a question. Guaranteed.
That's incredible.
That's the power of jiu-jitsu. So that's why so many people drop out. It has the highest attrition rate of anything. Because you have to check your ego. You have to have humility. You have to be humble, you know? And I was that big guy who got choked out. But I could have taken 2 roads. One, made an excuse.
Right.
So, fuck that shit, whatever. Went back to what I did. Or check my ego and say, wow, what is this? And go that route. And that's what I did. And you meet a lot of good people. And you see a lot of people, the people that stick with it, these are the type of friends that you want. People who are not quitters. And every day, you're not going to make it to black belt without getting injured. You're not going to make it to black belt without being humiliated. You're not going to make it to black belt without throwing up. You're not going to make it to black belt without disappointment. You're not going to make it to black belt without having problems at home, taking you away from jiu-jitsu, you know, financial issues, whatever, right? You're going to have everything pulling you away, you know? But the people who stick with it, the people who do earn their black belt one day, if they earned a legit black belt, it's a person of character. And that's the people I want around me.
What would you say is a illegitimate black belt?
So, brother, you know, like money, man. Money fucks up everything, brother. Money
Got
fucks
you.
up everything.
I see what you're saying.
You know, like, let's just say, so, and I don't want to give a pass to the instructors who do it, you know, who give the belts away, because they're doing it because they want to keep their students. So, you know, Joe Schmo, you know, he barely comes, but he pays every month. You know, well, he's been here 3 years. He sucks, but what? You know what? Let's graduate him. He's not legit. He's
Understood.
You know, so slowly, you know, brother, money corrupts everything. You know what I mean? You know, so like for me, that's the other thing. Like most schools, they charge for graduation. I don't charge to graduate people. Leo, you're my student. You put in the time, you put in the work, you put in the effort. And remember, I'm going to judge you different than the 18-year-old athlete.
Right.
So, okay, Leo is, how old are you?
37 tomorrow.
No,
Saturday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
So 37, I'm going to judge you as a 37-year-old businessman with kids who's taking his time out of his life to train. And I have an expectation for that.
Right.
Right? But I'm not going to judge you like compared to the 18-year-old who has nothing to do, who trains with me all day long.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you do have to meet that criteria. So people say, oh, well, you know, they're paying. Just for me, bro, you can pay forever. If you ain't earning it, you're not getting the belt. And I don't charge for graduations. So
love
that's
that.
another way, schools make money. You know, like, hey, we're having a graduation. They charge everybody a fee. For me, it's from my heart. When I think you're ready, I just call your name out of nowhere.
Really?
Leo, come on, come get your belt. I give it a little story about
just
you.
like that.
Just like that, brother. Tears, everything.
That's
Hug, kiss, the
incredible.
whole 9 yards. I try to touch as many people as I can, man. Like you want to build genuine relationships, man. Not just like, I don't never want you to just be a client or just be like a number. Like I want to be ingrained for the rest in your life forever. And then whatever lessons I teach you, you go and teach your children, teach your friends, pass it on.
How do you determine when someone's ready? Are there certain key points you're looking for? Is it a combination of physical, mindset, maturity? How do you make that decision?
So the first thing is the willingness to learn, right? So let's just talk about a white belt. The willingness to learn, asking questions, attendance, showing up on a regular basis, being punctual, being on time, being respectful, and then technical capability. Like, are they able to perform the armbar, the takedown, the this, the that? And then their character when they do fight, do they just tap out for no reason? Like I said, it's a douchebag filter, right? So like guys that are like real fit, but they are douchebags, they'll fight hard. As soon as they get pushed, they'll just be like, they'll make an excuse, they'll tap. I don't feel good today, whatever, some bullshit. Like, nobody gives a shit what you feel. Fucking train. You know what I mean? That's how I see your character. So that's how I determine it. And then the last thing is your character outside the gym. So like, I don't do drugs. I'm not for drugs. So like, you're getting high all the time, or you're getting fucked up, getting crazy drunk. Like, you want to drink a little bit, drink. I don't have no problem. But like, if you're cheating on your wife, if you're just like not a good person,
right?
Even if you're an unbelievable athlete, like, you're not gonna get a belt from me.
Wow.
It's not gonna do it. Go find somewhere else that they believe in your life. I don't believe in that. The other day, someone on social media posted another black belt that if students want to be late to class, let them, because they're paying members. And I was just cracking up.
Interesting.
And I was like, you think because you pay fucking money, you could do what you want?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what kind of fucking, this is what we come down to? I tell my students all the time, bro, like, the money that you pay is just to walk into my door.
Right. To have the access.
That's it. This just lets you walk in. Now, it's your character. You know what I mean? Who you are as an individual that will make me like you and make me want to promote you and make me want to be around you. Money is just to get in. And by the way, I've kicked out plenty of people. Like, hey, my friend, I think you should go somewhere else.
Really?
Oh, man, why? Like, bro, like, we just don't align. I don't need, And before I do that, I always try to help them. Like, I'm not like just a dick. I want to help you. I want you to better yourself. But if we don't align and you don't want to move forward, then take your $200 somewhere else. You know what I mean? There's plenty of places that will take it.
I can tell that you're very comfortable having uncomfortable conversations.
All the time. All the time. So every class, at the end of class, I give a little talk. And brother, like I have my coaching business.
Yep.
Where, I mentor a lot of men. Most men are around your age, and in their 40s. And I deal with a lot of like marital problems. I deal with a lot of financial problems, a lot of like discipline problems. And when you deal with marital problems, like I tell guys how to treat their wives, what to do and what not to do. And it's a lot of uncomfortable conversations. Like, you got to tell your wife, like, bro, like I was telling them earlier, I was like, I'm old school. She was asking about my wife. I said, when I met my wife, she was in a business suit. She graduated with a finance degree. I said, you want to be with a man like me? I need you home, cooking, cleaning, and I need a large family. You don't want to provide that? Not a problem. But you're not going to be with me. So when I come home, No matter how many hours I work, when I get home, I expect my wife to greet me with a smile. I didn't fucking work all day, you know what I mean? And put so much energy into the world to come home to a fucking attitude. I want to come home to a clean home, and I want a hot meal. Everything I want is slow and steady, bro. Like, if there could be an emergency or whatever here and there, somebody say she's sick, hey, I couldn't make you, no problem. But don't feed me some microwave shit. You understand? Because it's not just about if it's good or not. It's about the love that went into it. When your wife or you come over my house, one day I'll have you over my house for Shabbat dinner.
I love that.
Brother, we cook. And take time and we prepare a table like Thanksgiving dinner every Shabbat. You know what I mean? And you make it beautiful and you put the right plates out and so on. We're not eating a fucking paper plate. We're not going to just rush something. We're not just going to order in. That's not how my life is going to be. My life has to be like a home-cooked meal. Deep. Meaningful. You know what I mean? This is what I want. This is what I want to pass on. So people are like, oh, you know, you're like a Neanderthal. You know what I mean? I was like, call what you want, but it works. My wife has her place and I have mine. I don't step into her zone and she don't step into mine. She lets me be a man and I let her be a woman. You see how it works? The problem is that when you get into relationships is that people want to be equal. There is no equal.
I agree.
There's no equal. God made you a certain way and God made me a certain way. You know what I mean? And I'm going to bring something to the table and you're going to bring something to the table that I can't bring.
Right.
And together we unite and we create this harmony and we create a family and so on and so on. You know, so that's that.
Very, very interesting. I want to ask you, can you think of a couple of things that you learned from your dad that has helped develop your character? Because I can see how big of an impact he was in your life, and knowing that he was a military guy, especially Israeli military, there must have been a crazy foundation, levels, morals, things that your family lived by. What are a few things that you can share that you've taken from him, that you've adapted into your own life?
First thing, my dad had zero tolerance, literally zero, for stupidity. Okay, like we didn't have a chance, like we didn't have any leniency. So I'll give you an example. Math is a big subject, you know, that was very important to my father. He said, you're always gonna need math. So for example, when we were little kids, what's 5 times 5? Let's say you took longer than a split second to say 25, you literally got smacked on the spot. Bah! What are you, an idiot? You know? And then he would tell my mom, like, my mom's name was Sylvie. He's like, Sylvie, he's like, tell him to drop out of school. Your son's an idiot. Tell him to come to work with me. Like he didn't have any patience for stupidity. You know, like he didn't have any patience for half-ass. So my dad was a construction man when he came to America. And also in Israel, he had a construction business. And he would make me work, and he would make me sand the walls. Mm-hmm. And brother, you know, like when you talk about lessons, he taught me the number one lesson, which I teach everyone. The number one lesson, the most important thing in life is attention to detail.
I agree with that.
So, you know, like when we're talking about here, like look at this place, like everything is immaculate, everything's on point, everything's strategic, has its reason.
Yeah.
He would make me sand the walls, right? And there'll be one speckle. And he'll come, put his hand back. What's this?
What an eye.
You know, I'd be like, what is this? And like nobody can see it, but he would see it back. Do it again. And I'm like, Dad. He's like, don't be a lazy piece of shit. You know, like, boom. And I would have to do it again. He taught me work ethic. No matter how hard I worked, it was never good enough for him. When I worked construction with him, it was 7 a.m. You know, when people work construction, it's usually 7 to 3.
Right.
We would work 7 to 6. Like, all right, Dad, I got to go train. I got to go to the gym. I got to go be with my girlfriend. Like, we're not done. Like, man, I'm like, I got a life.
There's tomorrow.
Right. You know, like, we could, and then he would try to get me to do longer, and I would try to do longer. So remember, the shift is supposed to be at 3. Now we're at 4. Now we're at 5. Now we're at 6. I'm like, hey, man, you know, I got things to do. And he would always be like, I always knew you were going to be a lazy motherfucker. straight up. And I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. He would tell me. And Israelis, they like to spit. He'll spit on the floor. Right? And then I'm like, oh, what a fucking asshole. But I was telling your friends here earlier, I said, the harder you have it when you're younger, the easier your life is going to be. So when I became a man, when I dropped all that bullshit and I had to work from 5 a.m. to 9 o'clock at night, it was nothing. I was like, this is nothing. I could do this all day. Until today, at 44, I can work all day long. You know, when we fight, we do 10 rounds. Most schools, they do 5 rounds. I fight like crazy, because the mindset was built that now I understood why he did what he did. He loved me bigger than everything. As you see, you can tell how much I love him. You're like, oh, why? Did he abuse him? No. It's the opposite. He trained me to be this resilient human being. And instead of kissing my ass like, hey, son, it's okay. Go home. Go relax. Work harder. And he showed me how much I can do instead of stealing from me. This is the problem. Like when I coach wealthy people, their parents steal from them everything, brother. They steal everything from them. You know, let me put you in this school. Let me give you this. Let me pick you up with this car. Let me give you this food. Let me this. They don't understand anything. So then when they become an adult, they become useless because they don't have any real grit, which is the problem with making money. When you make money, you want to provide for your family.
Right.
But the more you provide for them, the worse they become. You spoil your wife and you ruin your children, right? So it's a very fine balance. You understand? Like I can live in a really nice house, but I live in a nice middle-class house. My kids all got chores. They all have to work. They all have to train jiu-jitsu. They all have things to do. And I find shit for them to do. You know what I mean? Like I'll just make up shit. Why? Because one day when they're out on their own, they'll be like me. Life will be easy, right? They won't be full of anxiety attacks. They won't be full of stress and, I can't do this. Like it's just normal.
Right.
You know, because they've been pushed.
Were your siblings pushed as hard as you were?
Yes. So both of my brothers, my brother David, my oldest brother, if anybody needs any diamonds, look up Rosenberg Diamonds.
Okay, that's your brother?
You know him?
I've heard of him, yeah.
Yeah, Rosenberg Diamonds. That's my brother.
Really?
Yeah, he's one of the biggest
he's
diamond
huge.
dealers for like fancy, like high-end diamonds.
Yeah. That's incredible.
He's in Boca. And my brother Daniel, he's like a high-end construction where he does like finish work. Both of them are like super successful, super, millionaires and stuff. And we took a different route. To me, like money was the least thing I worried about. They like a little bit more fancy and stuff like that. But they're hardworking. They'll fucking outwork anybody. They'll outwork anybody. All of us in our family will outwork anybody. We're not afraid of work because of my dad. You know what I mean? Like it was just normal. Work was normal.
Do they also train with you?
Nah, they don't train. They don't train. I really wish they would train. I think that's the problem, I was telling them earlier is that like money is a catch-22. Success.
Right.
So you made $100,000 this year. Next year you want to make 200.
Right.
Next year you want to make 300. But I have to tell you something. Everything comes with a trade-off.
Of course.
Right? So, okay, now you're making more money, but you have to exchange something for it, which is usually your time. Mm-hmm. Something you can't get more is your time. You can't get more time with your wife. You can't get more time with your children. You can't get more time with yourself. Time is passing. As we speak, we're all expiring, right? We're one day closer to the end. Now, every day you have to wake up and ask yourself, how am I living? How am I using my time?
Right.
And you want to pass your whole life just making millions of dollars and then having your wife be into the trainer or be distant from you. You want to have your children be in private schools but not really know who dad is. Everything comes with a trade-off.
Yeah.
And what are you willing to trade for it? So for me, the reason I chose, bro, I became a millionaire, bro, like in my early 30s. I paid everything off and just lived like a solid life. But I could have chased more. People always gave me, hey, you want to open up another gym? You want to open up another gym? Nope, I don't want to. You know why? If you go on my Instagram, I'm at the beach. I'm enjoying life. I don't want to trade more time to make more money to take away from other things I like to do.
Right.
So you have to ask yourself what's important. And most people don't realize what's important until it's too late.
Have your kids been to Brazil?
They have not been to Brazil or Israel. No.
You waiting for it, bro? You gotta take them
They
to
have
Brazil.
not. So here's what it was. So when we were younger and things were rough, you have to buy like 7 tickets.
Yes.
That time 6 tickets.
Right.
And you don't
You
go
got
to
a big family.
Right. You don't go to Israel or to Brazil for like a week.
No.
You got to go 2 weeks a month.
Yeah.
Well, you don't really go stay with family when you have this huge family.
Right.
It's not like, hey, Leo, can I stay at your house? And you're just
Right.
me. I'm bringing a whole gang, brother. You know what I mean? So
It gets expensive.
it gets expensive, and the kids were really little. And then, they started school, and it's just like, you know what, bro? Like traveling, I have a thing about travel. Like people like to travel everywhere. I'm not big into traveling. I'm big into making my life a vacation daily.
Okay.
Like I don't really care to see the Coliseum or to see this or to see this mountain or whatever. The way I do that is I have a Harley. I ride my Harley all across the country. That's how I travel. I go like local towns and meet like locals and things like that.
I have an Indian.
Do you?
I do.
We gotta get you a Harley. No, but let's go riding.
Let's do it.
Yeah, brother, we ride everywhere.
That's awesome.
But yeah, man, I'm not like, if you're on my coaching program, I make you 2 days a week mandatory date nights with your wife. 2 date nights a week. Most people are like, I barely do 1 date night a month. You know what I mean? 2 date nights a week. And then 1 staycation. I try to get you to do it once a month. Get a hotel with your wife on a Saturday night. You know what I mean? Go to dress nice, go to a nice restaurant, go to a bar, have fun, party a little bit, keep it excited. And then go back home. See, people think like, I got to go to Costa Rica. No, you don't, Brent. To keep it spicy, you just go, just leave your house for a day.
Right.
And you can keep it spicy.
Go to the Hard Rock.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's how I enjoy my life.
How did you learn all this? Where'd you get this from? Because as you're talking, I hear a lot of Garrett J. White, Warrior. Do you know who that is?
Gary J. White. Maybe. If I see him, maybe I know.
He's a white guy, white beard, white hair.
Yeah. He's with Wes Watson, too.
Well, yes.
Right.
He created the Warrior program.
Yes.
And it's exactly what you're talking about.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. Very, very similar.
I got it through my experience, through my skin. I almost been a divorce.
I like how you answered that.
Yeah, I've been broke. I've seen sickness. I've lost both of my parents. I've seen good friends die. I've coached literally thousands and thousands of people since 2003 till today.
Wow.
For 22 years. And brother, like you can tell, like I'm a very genuine person. So people
Extremely.
open up to me. People open up to me. I can meet somebody in the street today and they can tell me their deepest secrets. Whatever's going on, their darkest problems. I can't tell you how many people have shed tears with me. Like, man, this is what's going on at home. And then when you see them on the street, they act like everything is normal.
Right.
But everything is not normal. And the thing is that in order for people to open up to you, you have to be vulnerable yourself.
Right. Expose yourself.
So everybody wants to show like their life is fucking perfect. No, man, my life was the opposite of perfect. You know what I mean? The only reason I have such a great life today is I just didn't quit. I didn't fucking quit, brother. So I've seen so many people, their downfalls, and I said, okay, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Oh, this guy has a great marriage. What is he doing? This guy has a shitty marriage. This guy has a sexless marriage. This guy's only staying together because of the kids. This guy's just there because of his reputation. I've seen it all. I've seen health issues. I've seen people in their deathbed. I've just seen so much that I've taken it all in through my experiences and others and saying, this is what you do, this is what you don't do. This is what you do, this is what you don't do, and write notes. And then that's how I came up with who I am today. And I'm still evolving. Brother, like life is, I have like one day when you come to the academy, you're going to see I have a plaque and it's my mission statement. And the first thing it says, with everything I know, I realize I know nothing. Brother, as much as you know,
I agree with that so much.
there's still so much that you don't fucking know.
So much that I don't know.
Brother, and the more that you think like you know it all, the more life says, oh, you think you know it all? I got you.
Let me show you how much you don't know.
Correct. And brother, I've seen people that you thought were like tight, like marriage. Guy comes home, boom, divorce papers. I've seen people, bro, like I lost a good friend. He was a doctor. Freaking, he called me at like 8:15. At 8:30, he died.
What?
Like, just, you don't expect.
No.
I've seen
When
kids.
it's your day, it's your day.
I've seen kids with cancer. I've seen just so much fucked up shit, bro. You know what I mean? And then so much beautiful things that you just realize, like, you just don't know. So give 110%. Be the best human being you can be. And wherever it goes, it goes. And let me see if I'm gonna show you something. What I do, brother, is I carry with me this coin. And if you want to read it out loud,
Memento vivere.
Momento vivere, and then flip it to the other side.
Memento mori. Oh, so one is
Remember that you will die,
remember
and the other one, remember to live.
to live. Yes.
So these are
Is
imperative.
Latin or Italian?
It's Latin.
Latin.
So this is imperative, brother, till you understand those two statements,
This is awesome.
right? Why do you have to remember that you will die? Why?
So that you know that life is precious and you don't have much time to make the most out of it.
You don't waste time. So here's the problem.
Can I take a picture of this?
Of course. Hey, honey, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you later. You know what? I'll take you out next week. You know, hey son, I'll take you to play baseball tomorrow. Whatever. But motherfucker,
This is really cool.
tomorrow might not come.
You should get this tattooed.
Yeah, brother. You asked about my dad, about things.
Yeah.
Remember when I grew up around gangs, everybody had tattoos. I had friends fucking pitchforks on their on their face, on their tongue, fuck you on their knuckles, the whole 9 yards.
yeah.
My dad, you know, being Jewish, you're not allowed to have tattoos. So one of the lessons was you get a tattoo, I cut your skin off. Straight up. Straight up.
Wow.
But brother, this keeps me at the moment. Every day I wake up, brother. Every day I wake up on my life. Every day I wake up, I say, it's today going to be my last day. Every day I get on my motorcycle, it's today going to be my last day. I don't know. It's going to be the last time I see my wife. Is it going to be her last day? Your kid. You know what I mean? Bro, like people who send their kids, right? And the different school shootings. Mm-hmm. When you send your kid to school, do you think he's going to get shot?
No.
He's not in the hood.
No.
Send him in Parkland, right? Dead. Well, how many of those parents wish they maybe would have spent their time differently with their kids? You know what I mean? Maybe more family dinners, maybe more walks, maybe more conversations, right? We all wait till it's too late. And my rabbi told me this when my dad died. He said, don't wait till the funeral. Don't wait till the funeral to come together.
I agree.
Don't wait till the funeral to say, or your sickness, I should have started that business. I should have left this person and moved on. I should have done this, should have done whatever the fuck it is.
Don't have the regrets.
But the only way to really understand that is to know that we're expiring, brother. Day by day it passes, you know, you're getting closer. No matter how healthy you are, no matter how fit you are. People ask me like, oh, you're very fit, you're very healthy. I said, that's just to maintain my vibration, to maintain my
Right.
a good life while I'm here. Doesn't mean I'm going to be here longer than anybody else. You know what I mean? So that's it. Every day, ask yourself, how am I living? You know what I mean? How am I doing? How am I doing with my wife? How am I doing with my kid? I explained to my class yesterday. I said, my wife and I, if things are not fucking insanely good, I start a fight. Like, my worst day with my wife is most people's best day in their relationship. Like, bro, I have sex every day. You know what I mean? Like, we have multiple date nights. We get on the motorcycle. We have an unbelievable connection. But when things start going, we got a problem. You know what I mean? We need to sit down. Why? Because guess what, brother? As soon as you start taking a day off, you know what? We're going to skip date night today. Now you're going to skip 2 date nights. Now you're going to skip 3. Before you know it, you're miles apart. You know what I mean? So it's imperative, just like how people ask me, why do you train every day? 7 days a week I train. Why do you train? I said, do you eat every day? You train every day. You don't have to kill yourself every day, but you constantly have to be watering, brother. Water everything that's important to you, your kids, your health, your business, your relationships, whatever it is. If you do so, it'll be fruitful.
What a mindset.
You know, it'll be fruitful, brother.
It's incredible.
So,
what is your relationship with God?
So I believe in God wholeheartedly. I'm Jewish. We do Friday night Shabbat dinner. I don't belong to any organization, bro. Like, I don't belong to any synagogue. And it's because, you know, I told you my wife converted. Mm-hmm. And we had some, like, hiccups. And, you know, sometimes, bro, you know, like, people have a bad taste in their mouth from religion.
Yeah.
But I don't have beef with their religion. I would say I'm disappointed with the people. You know, because, like, any religion, bro, at the end of it, like, in general, most religions, what are they preaching? Good. You know, and but just some people, you know, don't make it so good.
Right.
You know, some leaders, some rabbis, some priests, some whatever they are. You know what I mean? So what I do is I keep the religion in my home. When I wake up, I say a prayer. When I go to bed, I say a prayer. Every Shabbat, you know, we do little prayers. During the holidays, we do little prayers. And just so you know, bro, like, I never ask God for anything. I only thank him. That's my relationship with God. God, thank you for another day. As soon as I wake up. As soon as I wake up, brother, I open my eyes, I swing my legs to the left, my feet hit the floor, I look up, I raise my hand, and say, God, thank you for another day. And before I go to bed, God, thank you for another day. Thank you for the lessons I learned today. You know what I mean? The opportunities I had. You know, thank you for my hands. I tell my class all the time, I tell people that I coach that are depressed. Anybody who's watching, if you're depressed, all I want you to do is stop, look at your hands. So, wow, I got hands. Look at your eyes. You know, blink. You can smell. You can breathe. You know, you can feel. You can touch. You can taste. You can remember during COVID, like, people lose their taste buds?
Yeah.
It sucked. You're like, you eat a good meal, you can't even taste it.
Yeah.
You don't fucking realize what you have until you lose it. But why do we have to lose it to realize what we have? So instead of saying, oh, man, I lost that business deal, or this is going south, or this is, like, do you realize how rich you are? Do you realize that there's somebody who cannot smell, who cannot taste, who cannot walk, who cannot feel? You know what I mean? Like, we just self-sabotage all the time.
All day.
And we create problems that are meaningless. You know, during the big crash in '08, I knew somebody who took their life because they lost half their fortune.
Wow.
And when I tell you half their fortune, they still had probably $500 million.
Wow.
But in this person's mind, I lost this much money. I'm useless. I'm no good. Life sucks. I don't need to be here anymore.
That's crazy.
Blew his head off. So I can work my whole life. I'll never have $1 billion, right? Neither do I want it. But the fact is that it's the mindset. You can have somebody who has nothing, right? And you see them smiling and they're happy and everything. You can have somebody who has everything and they could be miserable, right? So it's just all about what you're grateful for. And if you're an ungrateful motherfucker, no matter what you have, you'll never be happy. You'll always find the bad in everything. And I talk about that all the time. Stay away from these people. Stay away from people who always have a problem for every solution. Stay away from people who never want to celebrate. People who are always down. People are always like, brother, people always see me. Like, I always have this huge smile on my face. Always, big smile.
You have great energy.
Thank you, brother. Like, why are you smiling? Like, bro, like, I'm alive today. You know what I mean? Like, I woke up. That's it. I have an opportunity. Period. You know, and I think most people can't smile, brother, because, like, they don't understand all the good things that they have, number one.
They take it for granted.
Right. And then they live lives that they don't want to live. Right? They have a job that they don't want to be in. They have a career that they're not happy with. They have a relationship that they're not happy with, but they're not courageous enough to make a change. And, you know, you asked me about God. God will not reward the weak. He will not reward you if you're a coward.
Correct.
you will stay where you are, suffering in that shitty relationship or that shitty job or that shitty whatever it is that you got going on in your life. It takes courage. It takes work. It takes the willingness to lose. When you decided to start this podcast, you invested a lot of money into this place. It could have went south, but you took fucking courage. You put your money on the line. When you started your business, when you decided to get married, right? You decided to have children. Maybe the kid could have came out fucking retarded.
Yeah.
But you took a risk. Everything is a risk. Anything good in life is a risk. But a life without emotions, a life without risk, is a life not even worth living. I knew a lady I used to train, bro. She was 72 years old. And from the age like 50 to 72, she was the loneliest woman, brother. She was at home all day. I met her. She couldn't walk. She was on every kind of medication,
Wow.
all fucked up. She had kids. You know, again, she had money, so she had these kids. They were spoiled. Never came to visit her, check on her, nothing. Her husband left her, and she was by herself. So for 22 years, we had a heart-to-heart. She goes, I might as well have been dead. Physically alive, but emotionally dead. I don't see life in that. You know what I mean? So how do you get life into somebody? You got to get them excited. You got to get them doing something. You got to get them feeling again.
Motivated.
You know, like, man, looking forward to something.
What sparks you up, right?
Sparks you up, something that gets you going. But, you know, most people have things that spark them up. But again, going back, like, you know what? If I bring this up to my wife, you and your wife are beefing, and you bring up this issue, two things can happen. It could either blow up or it can get better.
Right.
So now someone says, well, if it blows up, well, now I got to split half of my shit. I got to this, I got to that. And so the fear of losing, whatever it is that you might lose, takes over the greater of what you might accomplish.
Right.
And then you end up stuck.
And you don't solve the problem.
You never solve the problem.
You stay in that loop.
You just stay in it, and you just stay miserable. And you're wasting the most precious thing you have is time. Oh, I don't want to give her half my shit. Like, bro, like when I have to give you money to get out of my life, like I get out cheap. You know, like I was telling them earlier, like if I gave you $1,000, hey, Yaneev, can I borrow $1,000? Here, boom, Leo, here you go. I'll give it to you next week. You tell me, next week comes along, you start ignoring me, right? A month. Well, you know what? I just got rid of a bad friend for $1,000. That's cheap. I got you out of my life for $1,000. You're in a marriage, right? You're 40 years old. You're miserable, and you've tried your fucking ass off, but you're successful. Whatever. You got to give her a few $1 million.
Right.
For a few $1 million or $1 million or 500,000 or whatever the number is, you're willing to sell out the rest of your next 40 years of your life. That's insane.
Makes no sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can make so much more money. Money can always be made, but you can never buy more time.
They don't believe in themselves.
They don't believe in themselves.
They don't believe that they'll ever make that kind of money again. And oh my God, I have to start over, put on the white belt again.
Put on the white belt again.
People can't fathom that. It's too much work. It's too hard.
Brother, because, you know, like, people want the result, right? They don't want the journey.
Correct. And the journey is the best part.
The journey is the best part. You know what the motorcycle taught me? That the journey is the best part, right? Like when you get on a bike. So, all right, so if right now you jumped in my car, you get in my BMW and we say, hey, we're going to Miami. We put in the GPS and we're going to find the fastest route to get there. When we jump on the Harley, okay, hey, you know, we're going to stop at this local restaurant and then we're going to go here 10 miles this way and 15 miles this way. And from here to Miami should only take you 45 minutes, but it took us 4 hours. But man, we connected, we met people, we created, you know, like a relationship. We created memories, stories. If you really think about it, what is life? It's all about the story. Without the story, it's meaningless.
There's nothing.
So if right now, like the Matrix, I can put you in a machine and teach you all the moves, my moves, and give you a black belt, who cares? You know how many stories I have from white to black?
Right.
Gazillion. You know how many stories I have from being broke to a millionaire? Gazillion.
And the growth.
Yes.
You missed the growth part of it.
Miss everything when you're just trying to get to the point.
And that's what life's about.
That's what life's about.
Growing, figuring out the growth, figuring out who you are, coming into yourself, not who you become. That's just the, you know, the caveat of it. That's just the end result.
When I teach people, brother, when I teach people like about women, right? This is going to be funny. When a man wants to hook up with a woman, it's married or not, doesn't matter. You know, you want to get some. If you're a fucking child, you rush it, right? Like, think about the first time you had sex. You're like, and you bust a nut. And
It's awful.
right? And like, you just want the end result.
Right.
When I coach, like if you're my student, right, in my coaching program, and I'm teaching you how to fucking deal with your old lady and how to make intimacy, I'm like, bro, you got to start flirting with her a day before.
Yes.
A text, a this, a that, whatever. And I said, and then when you do get into it, when you go out to dinner, you don't just go to eat, you take your time. When the waiter says, what would you like? I said, we're good, man. We're going to have a few drinks right now. We're relaxing. Take your time with everything. And when you finally get to the bedroom, you take your time again. What's the fucking point? Everybody's rushing. What is it rushing to? And when you take your time, man, it brings everything, the intimacy, the passion, the intensity.
Yeah.
By 100 times.
It builds up.
Right? To bust a nut or to make the girl, I don't know.
Yeah,
You know, whatever.
free.
To make
See,
the
that's what
girl
you gotta say.
freaking, orgasm come,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it's nothing. It's the buildup. It's the journey. And then you take that, what I just told you, and you put that with every part of your life. And you just watch how life becomes so much more rewarding.
Right.
And every part, like now you're motivated. Now like life is awesome. Life is good now.
I call it, by not doing that, I call it making your wife a cum bucket, right? Like your wife is not your cum bucket,
Correct.
right? She's not a place for you to go fucking deposit your semen,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
You need that intimacy. You need that foreplay. You need that connection, communication, interaction,
Right.
that flirting, that sexiness, you know?
Everything. All
Yeah,
the above.
I agree 100%.
I tell my guys, like, man, like, how do you keep it like, first thing when people see my wife and I, like, they're like, are you guys newlyweds? I'm like, no, we're like 21 years with 5 kids. And my wife's hot and stuff. And they're like, wow, like, how? I was like, we invest in each other. But, like, you can't rush it.
No.
You can't rush it. Just one of the best advice I can give anybody with your business, with your marriage, with your relationships, with anything is just take your time. Take your time. Stop trying to get to black belt. Stop, just go through the journey.
Right.
The belt will come.
Correct.
Your blue belt.
That is not
your
the
purple
point.
belt. You'll get there. And it's funny, like, I'm longer black belt than I was any other belt. I'm black belt 10 years now. You know what I mean? We're like, now what? That's it.
Right.
I get a stripe every 3, 4, 5 years, but the fact of the matter is, you made it. So it's like, don't be in a rush. Enjoy every part of your journey to wherever you're trying to go.
Do you know where the word sin comes from?
No.
It comes from archery.
Okay.
It means to miss the mark.
Okay.
When an archer used to shoot and he didn't hit the target, he sinned.
Okay.
Okay? So when people sin, they miss the mark. They miss the point. They don't understand the purpose of life.
Right.
And I to your point, when people rush things,
Right.
they miss the mark.
Right.
They miss the point of it. They don't get it. That life is about each individual moment and savoring that moment.
And I want to say something to you, Leo, that I wasn't always like this. Right? Like, just in general, like Israelis are high intensity. My whole family was high intensity. And when you're high intensity, you get a lot of shit done, but you miss a lot of moments. And the first moment I missed is we were in New York, and I took my wife to New York, and actually that's where I asked her to marry me, on the Brooklyn Bridge. That's another story. But we were in New York, and I took her to Central Park, and that weekend I was going to ask her to marry me. And I had everything planned. At this time, we're going to be here. At this restaurant. At this time, we're going to do this. At this time, we're going to do this. So we're walking through Central Park, and I already had like a lunch booked for us. And she stops, and she picks up this beautiful leaf. And like, we're walking together, but she stops, and I kept walking. I turn around, and she's like, whatever, 5 yards behind me.
Right.
And I go, what are you doing? She's like, I'm just admiring this beautiful leaf. On my life, brother, I walk to her, and I take the leaf, and I go, pop. I go, fuck the leaf. We got to go. We got like a nice lunch that I booked for us, you know? Like, it was like, you know, they give you a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
And she starts crying. And I'm like, why is she crying? And I go, why are you crying? And she's like, I was just appreciating the leaf. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what is she, a fucking liberal? What's going on here? Right? Like, it didn't process in my brain.
You didn't get it.
Brother, it took me years. Finally, when I understood, like, to slow down, that the beautiful part was that leaf. Not the lunch, the fancy lunch.
Correct.
The leaf was the beautiful part, and I ruined it, right? So to everybody out there, you're going to ruin moments. Like, you're not going to get to black belt. You're not going to get to my level or any level without making mistakes. When you make mistakes, forgive yourself.
When you realized, did you apologize to her?
Of course. Bro, like, now I'm the king of slow. She's like, can we hurry things up? I'm like, no. We're going to think slower now. You know what I mean? Like, we're not hurrying anything up.
You taught me a great lesson, honey.
Yeah, you know, and one of my great mentors, man, he actually just passed away. You ever heard of Greg Gumbel?
Of course.
Yeah, brother. Greg Gumbel was my client and like a father figure to me.
Wow.
For over 20 years. He just passed away from cancer. And brother, that man taught me so many lessons. And remember I told you I almost got a divorce?
Yeah.
When things got really rough, brother.
Wait, Greg Gumbel, the guy from CBS?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, for over 20 years, he was my private client.
That's incredible.
Yeah, just till he passed away.
Wow.
When I was about to get a divorce, everybody that I spoke to said, Yaneev, go get an attorney. You know, get ready basically for battle.
Right.
And they were trying to get me to file first, right? He's the only one when I came up to him. I said, Greg, what do I do? And he just got quiet. And he says, Yaneev, give things time. I said, no, but she's going to file and this and that, and I got to protect my assets. And, like, you get into this, like, defensive mode. He says, just give things time. Give things time. And, brother, like, it was the best advice ever. It saved my marriage because everybody else was like, and, like, smart people, right? Like, educated people, people with money, people who are successful. They're like, no, you need to be realistic. This is what's happening. And I didn't listen to them. I listened to Greg. And it saved my marriage. Instead of getting a divorce, time healed. Mm-hmm. And we ended up getting the baby, Daniela, which is 7. She's 7 right now. So like...
Daniela?
Daniela. So
my wife's name.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. So the funny thing is that God will reward you on your darkest moment if you hold on. Right? In your darkest moment, it's a test. How bad do you want to keep this marriage together? How bad do you want to keep this business together? How bad, whatever it is. Are you going to give up? Or are you going to fight a little bit more? And I fought. And today, I have an incredible marriage. For the last 7 years, my marriage has been unbelievable.
I can tell that you're a never give up, never quit kind of guy.
Never, brother, never. And it's not easy, bro. Like when
it's not.
When people see my marriage and they see everything great, I'm like, I want to tell everybody, like, it wasn't always easy. And it wasn't always like, like just beach days and dinners and all that shit. There was many struggles.
Roller coaster ride, man, right. Up and down.
And even till today, we have our ups and downs. But the thing is that the mindset is, she doesn't quit, I don't quit. And we work through it. That's it. Some days you like each other more than others. But overall, if you stay on the same track, you'll get over it. Whatever it is.
Man, you are really powerful energy. As you talk, you radiate. As you talk, I feel every word. As you talk, My mind is picturing and imagining every single word. I'm hanging on to your every word. You're a great speaker. You're a great storyteller. Like, you got to be on stage, bro.
You know,
You got to
brother,
put yourself out there a little bit more.
yeah.
You have a great message. You're a great speaker. You're very powerful. You have great values, great morals.
That's my next mission, brother. My next mission is to put myself out there more, do more of these podcasts, and really, like I said, touch as many people as I can, because, everyone has something going on in their life, and if I can shed some light from somebody who's real, who's not like, I don't have it like an ulterior motive. You know what I mean? Like, the truth is just to get people to get up. Get up, man. Get up. You can do it. Get up. You can do it. Don't give up. You can do it. Because we all go through it, man.
Yeah.
We all go through it. We all have hard times, and just keep on moving. Keep on keeping on, and then things will work themselves out, and this is where we're at.
Do you know what this is? This hammer?
That's Thor's
Thor's hammer.
yeah.
Do you know what you have to be able to lift the hammer? You got to be worthy.
Okay.
Right? So Thor's worthy. I don't know if you've seen the Avenger movies. Captain America once also lifted it because he's also worthy. Okay? I believe everyone's worthy. Do me a favor. Pick the hammer up, please. A little heavy, right? Yeah. Have a seat, please.
All right.
Bring the mic a little closer to you. Do me a favor, please.
Yes, sir.
Let the people know, what does worthiness mean to you? What does value mean to you? And what would you say to someone who's lacking worthiness and value?
Wow. Worthiness. So I think to be worthy of anything, you have to prove yourself. Like how I don't just give out a belt to anybody. You have to earn it. And because you have to earn it, it's going to be suffering in there. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be hardships. And as you show that you are willing to face those challenges, as you show that you're tired, but you'll fight anyways, that you'll continue showing up, that when things get hard, you won't just fucking ring the bell and quit. You will become worthy. And all these challenges that everyone's going through, these are all tests from God saying to you, son, are you willing to complete this task to go to the next higher level, to be worthy to go to get your blue belt, to get your blue belt in life, to get this next phase and whatnot? And I was telling, your coworkers here, I was saying, guys, I said, the devil makes everything easy, but God makes everything hard. The devil is always looking to distract us and put things that are going to make us drift one way or the other. Like I was telling him, like when I was young, I had so many women. I never did drugs, but he knew I liked women. So I constantly had beautiful women around me till today. I'm a man in the community. I get beautiful women all the time. Like I'm a good looking dude. I make money. I'm successful. I'm strong. Well, I have to be strong. I have to be focused. Stay loyal. Stay committed. And by the way, people who are watching, like, I can get tempted.
For sure.
I could almost trip and fall, but I'll get up quickly, right? I'll get up quickly because I'm worthy. I'm not willing to give up on people, on my family, on my wife, on my business, to ruin my reputation. So that's what makes you worthy, only when you get tested. So when you're getting tested, God is testing you. Are you worthy to keep this person in your life? Are you worthy to go on to the next level in your business? Whatever it is that you're looking to do. That's my advice.
I love that.
This is badass, man. I might
It's nice, right? Bro, get in line. Everybody wants it. Everyone who grabs it
cool,
wants to go home with it.
Super cool, man. Super cool.
Thank you, my brother.
Yeah, man. Badass.
Bro, you're a badass. This has been incredible.
Thank you, brother.
What
Thank
an
you.
amazing
Brother,
conversation.
We can talk for hours and hours, man.
We really can.
One day you'll bring me in again, and
I was just gonna say we'll do a round 2.
you know, and I could share so many stories with you, brother. You know, about so many lessons.
This is almost an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Just knowledge after knowledge, gems after gems. Incredible. You're an incredible leader. You're an incredible coach. You're an incredible man. You're an incredible father.
Thank you, my
Congratulations.
brother. Thank you. It's an
Thank
honor
you.
for me to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, guys. And Usa.
Usa. Do me a favor.
Yes.
Look at the camera real quick.
Yeah.
Right there. That one right there.
Oh, yep.
Let the people know where they can find you. Your Instagram, your website, your academy.
Okay. All right. So, guys, my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Academy is here in Plantation, Florida. The website is www.yrjujitsu.com. If you ever want to come train jiu-jitsu, we do fitness classes. We have kids classes. Come train. It's life-changing. If you want to get on my coaching program, I have coaching programs where I do fitness, nutrition, mindset coaching. That's my name, YaneevRosenberg.com. And I also, guys, I'm doing a challenge. It's called the 21 Days to Greatness. Leo, I want you to jump on it.
21 Days to Greatness.
21 Days to Greatness. It's 21 days of personal development challenges, 21 days of workouts, 21 days of accountability and group, and then 21 days of 10 tasks that you can't do. No drinking, no smoking, no drugs, no jerking off, no pornography, praying in the morning, praying at night, reading every day, and drinking water. Okay? And every day you got to check into the group. And
I think I'm like 85% there.
let's go. You know, and then every day you have a different task, right? So like one day you got to go into an ice bath. One day you have to go rucking. One day you have to write a handwritten letter to somebody that means something to you. One day you have to send flowers to some random person. You know, like just like a lot of meaningful things, not just about working out. And here's the thing. If you're 85% there, but let's just say, you know, like you like to smoke weed, for example. Well, that's your challenge. That's the whole point. The whole point is to make you uncomfortable.
Right.
That you can overcome that. My Instagram, guys, is my name, Yaneev Rosenberg 1. Follow me. I post a lot of funny things. I post a lot of motivational things. I do a lot of talks on there. And yeah, man, I just hope to be of service to everybody. And hopefully I can add value to your life. And that's it.
Incredible, bro. Thank you so much.
Brother.
Guys, I hope you had a pen and a notepad and you took notes because Yaneev dropped fucking gems. He literally gave you a blueprint, a structure on how to live, a structure on how to think, a structure on how to motivate yourself, how to value yourself, how to pick yourself back up. Incredible man, incredible coach. Go to his website, go to his IG, go see him at his academy, go train with him, like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and we'll see you guys next time.